The following is a presentation of the Six Arrows Radio Network.
Welcome to the Modern Christian Men Podcast with your host, Cale Nelson.
Welcome back into the Modern Christian Men Podcast. Season number 3, going to kick off with David Vanderpool from LiveBeyond Ministries. Going to drop you right into the conversation. Hope you guys enjoy this one. Pay attention, there's a lot of great stuff happening in Haiti. Well, thank you for your time. I'm glad we were able to get together. I was just looking over some things from the LiveBeyond.org website as I was getting ready for this, and I appreciate your time as we get ready to begin this call to be here with us.
Absolutely, and thank you so much for checking out the website and seeing more about what we do.
Yeah, man. Well, you know, I'll probably talk about this in a few minutes, but it's quite convicting to watch the habitat and the way folks have to live that we're not used to here in these United States of America. So,
I'm telling you, we are so blessed here in the United States, and I feel like it's, part of our role as Christians is to share the blessings that we've been given with others.
Yeah, well, we might as well start if that's okay with you.
I am happy to start whenever you are.
Yeah, I'm just, we're going to just have a conversation here over the next 45, 55 minutes, and if that's too much for you, let me know. We'll stop when you need to. But
I'm going to run out of ideas way before then, man.
Well, my wife says I have no trouble talking, so we'll see what happens there.
Sounds great.
So I check out livebeyond.org, and there's all sorts of things there. Can you give us a little idea of what Live Beyond is?
Absolutely, yes, sir. We are a missions and international development nonprofit, and we have been called to work currently in Haiti, which is the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. We feel like the Lord has given us a very diverse kind of range of topics to address in our part of Haiti. We're in Tomazo, Haiti. It's a very rural part of the country and one of the poorest parts of an already extremely impoverished nation. And so we have been given lots of skills, lots of talents. And so kind of like the parable of the talents, we've been expected, quite a bit of that. So our CEO is also a medical director. He is a trauma surgeon by trade. And so medical care is one of the major parts of what Live Beyond does. We have a clinic where we do lots of different medical procedures, everything from kind of a general clinic to a maternal health clinic to minor surgeries and OB-GYN care. And we're looking to expand that clinic into a full hospital complex. But we've recognized that, we can treat the medical needs of the local people, but if they go home and they still starve to death, we haven't really accomplished much. And so my expertise is agricultural development. So we have a demonstration farm where we train local farmers in improved methods of agriculture so they can not only just produce more on their own farms, but then also be able to market it better and increase their livelihoods, but then, of course, also increase their nutritional intake. And so we're seeing healthier people because of that. And from the farm and from the agricultural program, we've branched out where we have a feeding and nutrition program where we distribute about 100,000 meals a month, mostly in local schools, so that the local school-age kids are having better meals, increased, improved nutrition. But we also recognize, you can take care of the medical needs and you can make sure that they're, well-fed, but if they're still drinking dirty water, they're going to continue to get sick. And then everything we do in the clinic is just going to be reactionary. And so we want to be proactive. And so we've set up a huge waterworks grid type program where we have a water filtration system set out all throughout the community so that it's never more than about a mile to the next water filtration system, so that people are now having access to clean water. But just because they're healthy and fed and have access to clean water, they might not have any potential for, improved development. And so we have microeconomic work, and we have entrepreneurial development, and we have education. We have our own primary school on the base where we're trying to train local Haitian teachers, but then, of course, instill good education into the next generation of Haitians so that they can grow up and be leaders of their own country and be well educated and have good logic, thought processes, and, able to make a difference in their own lives, but then also the lives of their community. But most importantly, priority of every program we have, at the center of everything, is our church and our evangelism program. And so we have chapel every day of the week and our church service on Sunday. We've raised up a deacons program where we're sending these deacons out to the community to take care of their own people. But then we also have a church leadership training program where church leaders from all over the region come to our base where they Skype in with church leaders in the United States, and they work through scripture together, but then they also work through practical, real problems that they're facing in their churches, and they're able to get advice from one another and kind of have a mentorship program for church leaders. So that is at the heart of everything, but it's a lot of everything. There's a whole lot that is going on. And we have other programs like our Johnny's Kids program, which is our special needs program. One of the most incredible things I've ever witnessed. I have absolutely, little to do with it as anybody other than, the actual core team members, but it's without a doubt my favorite thing that goes on at LiveBeyond because just such incredible special people that get to be part of that program. But we do a lot, and it's such good work. But we kind of see development as a three-legged stool. You take one of the legs away, it's going to fall over. So we can't just focus on medical. We can't just focus on agriculture or water or education. We've got to have the full package and kind of be more holistic to be able to truly start finding solutions to the overarching problem of poverty there.
I'm listening to you describe this, and it sounds to me like what governments try to do to pacify their constituents, to have them vote a certain way or provide them a certain standard of living. But in reality, what you're doing is exactly the Great Commission. You are fulfilling these people's needs at every level, but you're not just handing it to them. You're teaching them to fish, as the old euphemism goes. But it's one thing to mission trip and do some eye surgeries or something, right? Do dental work, as we hear a lot of, but you're doing maternal work, helping moms and working in that. I saw one of the videos on your website that really spoke, heavy into that, as well as the orphan care, the clean water, which is a big deal for me. I'll probably speak on that later. Feeding these people, teaching them how to be business people themselves. I mean, did it ever, when this all began, did it ever look this big, or was it we're just going to go to Haiti because they had an earthquake?
Honestly, we are the – I'm sorry, I lost you for a second. Could you repeat that last question?
Yeah, I was just going to say, was it ever thought about in the front end, this is so big, it's so broad, or was it, oops, they just had an earthquake, let's go see if we can help?
Well, we are the prototypical example of trial by error, or, we can't learn unless we make the mistake ourselves.
Right.
But we were originally a disaster relief organization. Our original name is Mobile Medical Disaster Relief because we are the least creative people on the planet. And so we named ourselves by what we did.
Right.
And we had worked in Mozambique, and we were working in Honduras when the earthquake hit in Haiti back in January of 2010. And so we responded to the earthquake as a disaster relief organization. And we had a number of clinics throughout Port-au-Prince that we were running. And like our name implied, we were primarily a medical organization because CEO is a trauma surgeon, which was incredibly useful in an earthquake-type disaster.
Yeah, you think.
lots of trauma.
Yep.
But one thing that we found in Haiti was that the poverty was different from the other places we had worked, the poverty we had seen elsewhere. In Mozambique, great people, great place, wonderful work, very poor in parts of it, but it was just different. And we also felt that Haiti just kind of had a different level of oppression as well, both a physical, manifested depression, but also just a spiritual darkness. And we eventually came to learn that was, largely due to the voodoo there.
Right.
But due to this ongoing kind of more chronic poverty that we were seeing, and leading from the Lord, we felt that we were called to transition from the disaster relief aspect of our work into a more long-term development side of things. And so we went from having about 4 or 5 clinics in Port-au-Prince till we moved out into this small rural area of Tomazo and started kind of making a more long-term, putting down roots type impact. And we started with our clinic because, once again, that's what we were really good at. Mm-hmm. But then as I started acquiring some degrees in agriculture, I started starting the demonstration farm and doing kind of an extension type work with the local farmers in the area. And Mom's heart, Mom is she's a CFO. She lives down in Haiti full time. Laurie Vanderpool. Her heart is just so incredibly oversized. She's like the opposite of the Grinch. She saw so many children who were literally starving to death and were incredibly malnourished, but then also stunted due to their lack of nutrition. Mm-hmm. And so she started just a special program for the local children who are all severely underweight to come to our base every day and receive food. Well, from that, it grew into, we're also going to send you to school, and we're going to tutor you, and we're going to do leadership training, and we're going to open up our own school. And of course, Bible study was, going on throughout the entirety of it all. But that program, which is called Keputi Moon, which means Heart for the Children, started as something simple and small and exploded into one of our biggest ministries. And, same with the farm. The farm started as something, low-hanging fruit, something that I could actually do, and has now grown to something that I'm incredibly proud of and love seeing going on. Same with Johnny's Kids, our special needs programs. The Johnny's Kids is named for Mom's younger brother, John Mark Stallings, who had Down syndrome. And so started from, we just want to be able to provide extra care for some of these mentally and physically handicapped children, to it's now a physical and occupational therapy program that, is serving a great community. And so everything has just been kind of almost by accident, or such low-hanging fruit you couldn't pass it up. Or maybe a more accurate way to think about it is the need is just so great we couldn't ignore it. And so rather than just saying, nope, we've got our blinders on, we do medicine, we're going to do medicine, and somebody else can worry about everything else. In our area, there really aren't that many everyone else to worry about the stuff. And so we kind of realized, well, if we don't, then who will? I think there's a whole lot of scriptural backing for that. If we don't go, who will preach it? If we don't preach it, how will they hear? And if they don't hear, how will they know and believe? And we kind of see that as the aspect, or the premise for why we do this work. I use agriculture as a means of evangelism, not because I give a single flip about eggplants. I don't care about eggplants. Other than that's a great cash crop in Haiti, and so we raise a lot of eggplants. But I can use the garden and the farm as a way to minister to people. Same with the water. It's so easy to make parallels between, hey, here's some clean water. You're not going to get cholera and die from this, to Jesus is the living water. That's just low-hanging fruit. Yeah. And so if we pass it by, we're just fools. And we are still quite frequently fools, but we try to be less foolish the more and more. And so, yes, sir, we have grown into this very diversified organization, not out of a plan. That was not our original intent. I don't think we had any idea that we were going to stay in Haiti longer than, kind of our 6-month disaster relief response effort. Much less, we're coming up on 9 years here next month. And so Mom and Dad, they have pledged to die in Haiti. And so I hope that doesn't happen anytime soon, but I just mentioned
when they fulfilled their years.
Yes, sir. They are fully committed to the work that the Lord has given us all down there in Haiti.
Is that the secret? I'm sitting here listening to this low-hanging fruit, and I get it. I get what you're saying. But we have so many churches here in the States who have been chasing the low-hanging fruit since the 60s and the 50s. My local church was established in 1933, and we're still trying to embrace the local community. Is it one of those things where we hear a lot of miracles and signs and wonders in other countries that is not, the Western Civ that we enjoy here in the States? Is it because people are so hungry, willing, and open to receive, and God has much more authority is the wrong word to use there, but he and his power are received differently in that environment versus the States, or is it just the need is so great, or is it a combination? Because it's like you say, you have a list that's like Santa's Christmas list of wish, but it's things that you guys are doing, and you're touching every aspect of these people's lives, and I just have to believe that there is definitively some great spiritual work happening there, and this is just the fruit of that work.
Absolutely, yes, sir. And I do think it is kind of a complex issue to what you're talking about. When I look at Haiti versus America, or, comparing the two, especially spiritually, my favorite Bible verse is Luke 10, verse 2. It says, "Pray that the Lord will raise up reapers for the harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few." Yep. And I am an ag nerd, and so all those ag metaphors definitely appeal to me on a higher basis. But I think it's also very appropriate for how we should see the mission field. At the same time, I feel like we almost have the parable of the camel going through the eye of the needle here in the United States, and that we don't need God in the U.S. And I don't mean that literally. We all desperately need God, but we're able to survive in this mortal life quite comfortably without him. Or, at least we think we are.
Yeah.
And so, why bother? I mean, the church, that's just an extra chore on Sunday morning. Right. What am I going to get out of it?
That 1 hour.
Exactly. Oh, man. And the Cowboys are playing and, all that other stuff. And so that I feel like is the major roadblock we have in the U.S. is it's almost like we're too blessed. I mean, Jesus kind of says that. Literally, very difficult for a rich man to enter into the kingdom of heaven. And by golly, we are some rich people here in the U.S. The poorest of us are a whole lot wealthier than the rest of the world, but especially in Haiti. But in Haiti, oh, yes, there is a hunger. They are just such sweet people. But they know what life looks like because it's so different from what they're currently having to experience. I mean, I like to say, or I like to point it out this way, that in voodoo especially, and voodoo is just open Satanism. Lucifer is the chief deity in the voodoo pantheon. It is in a religion of oppression and cursing. I mean, don't take the media's word for it. You can look up voodoo, and Wikipedia makes it sound like it's just all butterflies and rainbows, but that is not the voodoo that we have experienced every single day in Haiti. Wow. It is so just violent and oppressive. And then when missionaries and Christians and the deacons in our deacons program or the evangelists go out into the area and they're talking about the love of Jesus and kind of the kingdom of light, and contrasting it to the religion of darkness that voodoo is, the local people are able to see that and go, oh, that's different. That's what I want. I don't want what I currently have, and I do want what they are preaching, especially when we partner it with the love of our different ministries. And like I said, I don't care about eggplants. I don't care about sheep or goats or honeybees or bananas or any of the stuff that we work with on the farm. I care about the people that benefit because of it, the relationships I'm able to develop through it, and then the love of Jesus that we're able to preach because we've developed those relationships and because we've been able to show the people, how much we love them. It's like that cheesy saying, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yeah.
I feel like that applies so well to evangelism and to mission work. Like we've got to actually take care of their physical needs before they'll allow us to talk to them about their spiritual needs. And I think Jesus did that. He fed the 5,000 and then gave the sermon. He healed the people and then talked to them about the kingdom of heaven. He understood, if I want to make an impact, I need to reach out and touch them first. I can't just speak to them from on high and think that they'll actually respond well. He knew what he was doing. And so we try to take a leaf out of his book when we're doing our work as well.
I tell my wife that when people, it's my opinion that if people can see the kingdom manifest itself, through love and charity and fill in the blank, if they can see someone's life change through physical healing or financial blessing or something like that, and realize that it can happen to their neighbor, it can happen to them. This person, their alcoholic neighbor they've lived beside for the last 30 years in the Mill Village, is now knocking doors on Saturday morning, inviting people to ride the bus to church the next day. That really gets a hold of people. And it's one of those things, you become all things to all people. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure, you really didn't start out wanting to be a farmer, right? You were just kind of, were you there helping your folks as they would go out and do these disaster recovery type of operations?
Yes, sir. So I majored in biblical studies, biblical text as my undergrad. And I knew I wanted to be a missionary, and I took a lot of missions classes. And every single class, I was whatever the opposite of the teacher's pet is. I was the teacher's loathed student. Because I would raise my hand every single class. I made a very obnoxious point of this and ask, what does a missionary do every day? What do you do? They're like, well, let's read this textbook. I did. It didn't answer the question. What do you do? And so I graduate. I'm like, well, I'll go be a missionary, whatever that means. Plant churches. Where do you buy church?
Church.
I was a stubborn, obnoxious, pain in the neck, thought I knew everything kind of kid, like we probably all were.
Yeah.
But I had been working with mobile medical disaster relief since we started it as a response to Hurricane Katrina in 2005. And so I knew I was going to work. Whatever it looked like, I was going to find work to do. Mm-hmm. And it just made sense. Development work. That is the key to opening doors to then preach the gospel. And I was living in Port-au-Prince, summer of 2010. And I was running these clinics just kind of more as an admin guy since I'm not medical at all. But the Lord said, hey, look at all these hungry people, feed my sheep. I was like, you know what? I'm going to take that literally. And so I have been able to go on and receive different degrees in different aspects of international agricultural development. And since then, it's just become my passion. Like I said, not because I care about the agriculture side of itself, but because I care about the impact it's able to make. And I've been so grateful that the Lord finally opened my eyes to see the path that he intended for me. Took me about 22 years to finally have my eyes opened, but better late than never.
Yeah. So some people die with their eyes still closed. So you're okay.
That's true. But then it gave me the opportunity. I got to work for the Army in Afghanistan doing agricultural development, and it's a very impactful way to do mission work. And so I was working with Afghan farmers over there. Getting to help them with their grape growing or their apple growing, and then preaching the gospel. And I kind of got my wrist slapped a few times because you're not supposed to do that. Yeah. You're working for the government. But golly, it was just too easy. Like low-hanging fruit might be a terrible metaphor for it, but that's really how it felt. Like, it's like, okay, if it's this simple, why pass it by? Why think, no, I've got to strive for something more complex? No, I think simple is always the way to go. And in Haiti, where hunger is a major issue, agriculture is a simple, I would like to say, solution. That might be a little too prideful, but it solves a lot of problems. And yes, sir. So that's kind of how I got into agriculture, and how I finally ended up in this field. But golly, I sure haven't looked back. And it's one of those things where it's going to be really, really hard to work yourself out of the job, because with 7 billion people in the world, a whole lot of hungry folks. And so we've got a whole lot of work to do with agricultural development. So
I love that you go back to the low-hanging fruit, and I don't find any offense. I think that's a very good way to describe it, because going back to our earlier discussion about folks here in the States, it seems a lot harder. But again, is there too much to be drawn from to where it makes that fruit hang a lot higher and a lot harder to reach? I love the fact. I mean, you make it sound, and I don't mean to take away from what you said, and if I misheard you, please correct me. But you make it sound like these folks are so hungry, not just in their bellies, but also in their spirit and their soul, that they embrace, by and large, what you're bringing to them from Jesus in a way that you can really find a hard way to describe how open they are to that.
Yes, sir. And I think what you're saying is absolutely accurate. I think that it's not just because we're preaching it, and not just because we're doing the development work of love, but also because it is the truth, that the message we are preaching isn't just a pretty message that's coupled with a plate of beans and rice as well, but that the truth of the gospel is getting through, and that we've just kind of been able to tear down the barriers with the development and with the love that we're showing people, and the truth is now able to be received well. I think if a false message were to come in, it would not be as well received in Haiti, even when coupled with the same kind of work that we're doing. And so I think, all glory to God and His gospel for the work for the results of the work that's going in Haiti.
Well, He does say if He is lifted up, He'll draw all men unto Himself.
Amen.
And wow, 9 years, let's say 10, 12 years ago, this whole thing that you've been describing was not even a consideration.
Oh, no, sir. 10, 12 years ago, let's see, 2006, is that correct math?
Yeah. That's
we were working in Mozambique, and I was first starting to kind of get my feet into agriculture. We did some poultry programs out in a very rural area of Mozambique, and I got to be a little bit of a part of that, and it was a lot of fun. I got to be involved with some microeconomic, entrepreneurial type job creation programs, and that was great. And I can definitely see how all these past programs and projects influenced the path that I'm on. But, oh my goodness, I'm not sure if I could have pointed out Haiti on a map at that time. And now I know Haiti, and especially driving through the streets of Port-au-Prince, better than I do my hometown. And so one of my favorite sayings is, if you want to make the Lord laugh, tell Him your plans. And golly, I had no idea that this was going to be my future, but
well, that's where I was getting ready to go, because I know that He laughs at me on a daily basis, and I'm still just kind of grinning back, waiting on Him to continue to pour out this plan of His. But there's probably some guys listening, probably even some ladies listening, that are thinking, wow, this is great for this guy and his family, and his dad was a doctor, so they were loaded and they could go do this stuff, and you get that. And that's got to be a Western thing. I don't think people in these impoverished countries think like this. Maybe they do. I don't know. But that's just great for them. That works out good. That's easy. And they're down there having a holiday in Haiti, enjoying the sunshine. And I'm up here having to sell cars on a used car lot or something. I could never do that. I don't have the ability, the capacity. Any of that. Your folks have to be saints. Don't get me wrong, but The question is, are they really that special, or is this something that God can use anybody to do?
I will say, first of all, while Haiti is technically a Caribbean island, we are not on the beach. We are in a very rough part of the country. There is no laying out in the sun and relaxing. We work dawn to dusk, and we view LiveBeyond and our work here as kind of more of a for-profit business where we show up to work. While technically we are a 501c3 charity, we do not approach our responsibilities with it in a charity-type mindset. Right. We are frequently accused of being very works-oriented, and I don't always take offense to that. Anyway, that being said, yes, my parents are absolutely saints. I think more highly of them than anybody else alive on earth today. However, that being said, no, it is not that they are something special. And yes, Dad is a doctor, and he had a very successful medical practice, but he put a majority of the profits of his medical practice into the nonprofit, and we were completely self-funded for quite a while before they sold everything, moved to Haiti back in 2013, and now we actually fundraise because we've grown so large. It's well just beyond ourselves. It's not just the Vanderpools anymore. It's a huge team effort. That being said, this is not a bunch of Supermen and Wonder Women running around doing the work in Haiti. We are just very either dedicated or committed or stubborn. Choose the word you like. Christians, living out the Great Commission how we best understand it. And we've got people that are running programs who that is not where they thought they would be at this point in their life. But they received the call from Christ, and they answered it, and they came down to Haiti, and they have totally transformed their lives. They have sold everything back home, and they are in this for the long haul. What I like to say is, hey, if you're the guy that's making ends meet by selling cars at a used car lot, that is awesome. That very well could be where the Lord has you. You might be there to minister to your coworkers and to all the customers that come in. If you want to be a missionary, and maybe this is time for a definition of the word. I see missionary as being, a foreigner going to a different land to preach the gospel, and an evangelist as being somebody who preaches the gospel in their home country. Mm-hmm. That worker at the car lot preaching to the customers and his coworkers, you could be an amazing evangelist, and you very well may be called to be an evangelist right there. But if you've been called to be a missionary, somebody going elsewhere, and I think, one thing, you need to probably bring something to the table. At least that's how I view it, or at least within LiveBeyond. It may not be correct for other organizations. I don't want to talk in absolutes, mm-hmm. but I was running clinics in Port-au-Prince from an admin role, and I did my absolute best. It's not what my skill set was. And it's not exactly what I wanted to be doing with my life, but I knew I wanted to be doing missions. Once I understood that the Lord wanted me to be an agricultural development expert, I went and got those degrees and was able to now bring something to the table here in Haiti. I'm able to teach agricultural development and best practices and marketing for your crops and business techniques for maintaining your farm. So all that, I now have something to offer. I think that's kind of like, once again, the parable of the talents. And we've been given talents, and maybe one of those talents is how to go to school and get a degree. And so if you want to be a missionary, and maybe you're still in school, you want to become a doctor, and you want to be a medical missionary, or you want to become a farmer. That's a much easier degree to obtain. Go do that. Go learn something that's going to be effective and be useful. History of interpretive dance might not be as useful in the mission field. Right. Honestly, my undergrad in biblical text, I'm not able to speak Hebrew with too many of the people I'm working with in Haiti. it laid a great foundation for the mission work we're doing. However, I wish I had double majored in something more practical. Right. And so that's my bit of advice is, if you want to be a missionary, then, find something that's going to really benefit the people that you're going to, evangelize to. If you want to be an evangelist in your own neighborhood, in your own community, awesome. You just need to know some scripture and I guess have a very outgoing personality.
Find that low-hanging fruit, right?
Find that low-hanging fruit, yes, sir.
And there's a lot of that in our own neighborhoods, even probably in our own churches if we were completely honest with ourselves. But yeah, I really wanted to hear you say that about your folks because, there's so many people who think that these things are so far away from them. It's so impossible. But you guys do trips. You allow groups to come in and help you. I'm assuming during whenever and let people kind of get a taste of what missions work is. And
Absolutely.
I know that has to help these young people as they're trying to put two and two together to figure out where they're supposed to go in life. I never did the out of the states mission trip as a youth, but going to the beach a couple of times during high school to sing on the sand was fun, but it didn't steer me anywhere. But I can imagine if someone felt called to missionary work, that's a great way to do it. And tell us a little bit about how groups come in and how they assist the LiveBeyond folks there in Haiti.
That's a beautiful segue. Thank you so much. Yes, sir. We take teams down to our base in Haiti every month, sometimes twice a month. I think we have 17 teams lined up for next year, and they're filling up fast. So go to livebeyond.org and register for a mission trip now if you want to get involved. But yes, sir, they are a ton of fun, and they're a great way to get your feet wet in mission work. And there's a lot of criticism for short-term missions, and I understand it. A lot of it is very appropriate. The way we practice short-term mission work, and I know I'm biased, but I feel like it is a much more appropriate and effective way of implementing this type of missions. So we have all these programs that I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, the clinic, the maternal health, the farm, the school, Johnny's Kids, the feeding program, the church. Those all happen with or without the teams. They're going on every day, all day. If we never have a team come back again, those programs are still happening. When the teams come, we have more people supplementing the work that we're doing. And so we're able to really jack up our numbers and boost the numbers for that week that we have the team. I'm able to get more work done on the farm. We're able to have more physical therapy going with Johnny's Kids. We're able to see more patients in the clinic. And so it's just a supplement, a short-term supplement of our long-term mission. And so I love the way we do the short-term missions. It's not, we're going to go down and paint a church and then next month somebody else is going to come down and repaint the church. That's just kind of the example that's given so often for bad short-term missions.
Yeah, yeah. But you guys open it up and let people come in and, they just complement the efforts that you guys are producing every day.
Compliment's a great way to put it. Yes, sir. But once again, we try to take advantage of the skill set that you are bringing to the table. And so if you're a doctor, we're not going to put you down on the farm. We're going to put you in the clinic. And if you're a teacher, we're not going to have you in the clinic. We're going to have you in the school. And so we take, what is assumedly the passion of your life that you're doing back home and pairing it with its missional counterpart. And so, yes, sir, everybody that, has a profession back in the States, we're then able to show them, hey, this is how your profession has an impact in Haiti. And then everybody that has a strong back and a weak mind, I get down on the farm and they get to pull weeds with me. No, but it really is, like you were saying, a great introduction to missions, but then also just an eye opener for, hey, I can be useful here too. And it's not just, superheroes that are going down and becoming missionaries. I too could become a missionary. And it's so true. We have businessmen and women or bankers who come down and they're like, well, what good am I? Like, what good are you? Are you kidding? Entrepreneurialism is one of the most important things that we have got to develop. We have got to really create, a better economic environment in our area. Yeah. Otherwise, it's just going to stay poor.
Yeah.
And if there's no economic development, then there's no progress. There's just continued poverty. And what can you add? Well, the list is pretty much endless. Yeah. You could teach savings and loans type program. You could teach them how to better invest their money. You could teach them accounting. So when they start their business, they're able to keep the books. It goes on and on and on. And then you get the person who, man, I work at a used car lot. What good am I? Are you kidding? You know how to make sales. You could teach marketing and sales and all those different types of things. So everybody has a skill set that is appropriate to missions work. People that want to move down here full time, awesome. I want you to identify that part of your skill set that is most appropriate and maximize it. So now you're not just, I can tell you all about the Honda Civic and, sell you on it. Okay, I can tell you about sales and this is how we're going to do it. Right. Just an easy example.
Yeah.
But, I know, kind of going back to an earlier topic, I want to give a good shout out to my in-laws. He's a used car salesman. And she works in collections for a company. And they first said, what good are we to missions? We'd love to come visit you in Haiti. This is while we were living down there. But, I don't know what we're going to offer. Like, are you kidding? Y'all are some of the best examples of what a good Christian husband and wife look like. Not only do your skill sets in your profession apply to work in Haiti, but back home, they are some of the most amazing evangelists, and they don't even really realize it. Growing up, I got to have, a very flashy, beautiful lifestyle of being always going on mission trips, always following Dad around to some third world hospital. And, I got to come home and brag to my friends about how cool, my parents were. I meet my, now in-laws, and might not think that that was so flashy, but I don't know anybody who goes and visits people in the hospital so often as they do. Like, I never did that growing up, unless it was, to go with Dad to do a surgery on, somebody in a hospital. It was never visiting the sick. It was, and so I just love seeing kind of the opposite side of the coin. They're the ones that are always taking care of the sick people at the church or strangers at the local hospital. They're the ones who are going to visit people in prison. They're the ones who are giving a cup of cold water in the name of Jesus. And I love the example they set that is so easily overlooked and so unflashy, I guess is a good way to say it. My parents are frequently and appropriately identified as saints, but I think people like my in-laws should be recognized as that as well. Anyway, back to what you were saying about mission trips. Yes, sir. We take trips down there all the time. It's about 40 plus people that come on the trips. And people are not only able to serve the poorest of the poor and, really get to work in missions, but I think it's a great, once again, low-hanging fruit, a great easy way to practice spreading the gospel. So often back home, we think it's difficult, and we kind of set up these hurdles in front of ourselves of talking to your coworker. I don't even know how to start the conversation about, the gospel or anything like that. Come to Haiti, it's easy to say, hey, I'm never going to see these people again. It's not like I have something to be embarrassed about. I don't need to, maintain my reputation. Let's go for it. Right. And you just start sharing the gospel. I feel like it's just good, easy practice. So even if you're not going to become a full-time missionary, you have practiced how to spread the gospel so that when you come back home and you're working on your evangelism side of things, hey, you've already got that first hurdle pulled down, and maybe now you can start getting a little bit of momentum.
I've got to wonder right here how many folks are listening and they're like, I'm not a missionary and I'm not an evangelist. But really, we all are, whether we're in Haiti or Colorado Springs. I mean, we are called to be Christ representatives. That's probably a whole another conversation we could have about the fact that we are all called to that, but having that practice, like you're saying, has got to be invaluable when you get back home. Absolutely. Yes, sir. Well, one of my favorite quotes, this is not scriptural, but I like to think it's accurate. It says, "We are all either missionaries or imposters." And I think missionary / evangelist would be accurate as well. But the Great Commission was not given to some, and we have all been called to spread the gospel. Now, the means in which you do it, I think that's more personalized, that's more individualistic, but we've all been called. Yeah. And so, but the workers are few, right? The workers are few. And man, it's a big harvest field, the entire world. Before we go, I want to talk to you about clean water. My clean water story, I've touched on it here a time or two in the past on the show. Years ago, my wife was pregnant with our baby. She's now 7. And about every 4 weeks, we were getting sick. All 6 of us in the house at the time would have this like terrible stomach disorder for about 3 days. And then 4 to 6 weeks would pass. We would be good. And then the same thing would happen again. And then it would happen. And you're like, why do we keep getting sick? And finally, my wife said, I think our water may be making us sick. Now, we live on a farm way down away from civilization, got a well there. And we had lived in this house at this point about, 3 or 4 years, never a problem. Tested the water. In fact, the water was dirty, and we had to clean our well, treat it, I guess you'd say. In that time, we had a Berkey water filter that we had bought just to have, put it into service. We still drink out of it today. But during that whole thing, I'm sitting there in the middle of the night, awake, wondering how I'm going to get clean water to my family. And I'm thinking, here I am. I used to make sweet tea a couple of gallons a day. I don't anymore. But back then, we were drinking a couple of gallons of sweet tea every day, cooking with this water, showering, bathing our children, brushing our teeth, everything. And I'm like, I was contributing to making my children sick just by placing it in their hands, and saw how bad that hurt me personally when it was over. But it's invisible, you don't know, right? But it's still, you're contributing to that. And it helped me understand the importance of clean water, especially for those who have never had it before. Now, I can't buy a Berkey water filter and send to every missionary in the field, but you guys are providing clean, filtered water to many, many people throughout Haiti. And we've got just a few more minutes. Can you kind of share the program you guys have there? Because I love clean water, and I know how important it is. I don't live in Flint, Michigan, and God bless those folks. I think get that squared away. I'm not trying to make light of it, but seriously, just here on my farm, we had dirty water. It made us sick. I get it, and I understand the importance of it. So I've always since that time, I've kind of been drawn to folks who are processing water for folks in the third world. So can you tell us about your program? Absolutely, yes, sir. And I will say I'm unfortunately not familiar with the Berkey filters. Really? I'm sure they're great. I don't want to say anything negative about them since I'm not familiar with them. But we use Sawyer Filters, and I am all on board with Sawyer. They're actually a Christian company, great group, and they make one of the best filtration systems, especially for the developing world. I actually got to meet them at a conference on missions and development, and they gave me a bunch of prototypes. I was able to field test them in Mozambique and elsewhere, and send them my notes. I mean, they're great folks. Awesome. And they make so I Googled Berkey, and I can see it's kind of a good household unit size thing. Yeah. Sawyer makes not only a good household size, but almost more of a community-sized filter, and it's a 0.01 micron filtration system, so incredibly precise. And what we do is the wells that were throughout the Tomazo region, we would install a tough tank, a big water tank next to the well where you could then pump the water in, and then the water gravity flows out through the Sawyer filter. And last calculation, our filtration system provides access to 220 million gallons of clean water a year.
And so there are roughly 250,000 people in our region. And so there is access to clean water for everybody in the region. And we're really, really, really excited about that. And it's just, such a wonderful thing. We are actually going up the mountains into other regions, and we're drilling wells. And if I'm not mistaken, I think we just drilled I hope I'm not giving you an inaccurate number, but I think it was 96th well in our area.
And those are all filtered wells. They're not just wells, right?
Well, yes, sir. So it's a well that then goes to a tank that then flows out through a filter.
I love that.
Yes, sir.
That is awesome.
And a lot of these areas, it's incredibly rocky. The water table is much lower than the surface, and so we're having to drill incredibly deep. But what that meant was there were no shallow hand-dug wells in this area, and they would walk for miles and miles to get water and then have to hike back uphill to get home again. And so providing access to water, but then especially clean water, makes such a difference. And towards the end of 2010, cholera broke out in Haiti. And it was an Asian strain of cholera, so it was a strain that the Haitians did not have any resistance to, and so it just ran rampant through the country. And I was involved in running a number of cholera clinics, mostly up in northern Haiti. And oh my goodness, it was awful. I mean, just patients coming in all day and night. I mean, we could not start IVs fast enough, and just mopping up the diarrhea and the vomit. And cholera is a waterborne disease. It's easily prevented. You just don't drink dirty water. Right. And then you basically diarrhea yourself to death. Oh, it's a terrible way to go. Yeah. I mean, it was just really bad. Yes, sir. Talked to Sawyer, the Sawyer company, and got a ton of home kind of family unit size filters, and we distributed those all over the country. And just, hey, before you drink water, it's a filter that's kind of on a hose. It looks like maybe like a shaker bottle, that you put your drink in, or kind of like a pill bottle that's on a little bit of a tube. And it comes with a drill bit, so you can cut a hole in the side of a 5-gallon bucket, and then that hose attaches to the 5-gallon bucket. And you're able to just pour water in there, and it gravity feeds out through the filter, and you have surgically sterile water that comes out the other end. And so we were able to get rid of the cholera from their drinking water. And praise the Lord, cholera didn't come to Tomazo, our region of Haiti. And I like to think that it was because we had so many filters throughout the region that everyone had access to clean water, and we didn't have the disease rear its ugly head. But oh my goodness, waterborne disease is the easiest preventable disease to really address. Still kills so many people throughout the world, and it causes incredible stunting and growth of young children. And being able to have access to clean water has got to be a priority for everybody, from Flint, Michigan, to your farm, to Haiti, to Mozambique or Afghanistan, wherever you are. You've got to be able to have clean water. And I think that's one reason why, Jesus says, I'm the water of life.
Yeah, yeah. So how do we, if we want to be involved, whether
or living water, sorry. Bread of life, living water.
If we want to be involved with your mission work, if we want to participate from home financially, if we're interested in helping provide clean water, or even maybe sponsoring something that you guys have going on, what's the best way for us to become involved with LiveBeyond and be a part of how you guys are changing the culture in Haiti?
Yes, sir. Well, LiveBeyond.org. You're able to read all about the work that we're doing, watch our videos. I am of the mindset that over-communication is better than under-communication, and so we have a page on our website for everything we do, and so you're able to see it all there. You're able to donate to the work we're doing there. You're able to sign up for a mission trip there and come down. Like I said, we have 17 trips lined up for 2019. Love for y'all to get on those and come down and be a part of the work, join the LiveBeyond family, and be a part of the mission that's happening. But yes, sir, like you were saying, with the culture of Haiti, I know kind of in the PC climate that we have here in the United States, it's not correct to try to change others' cultures. But we're not trying to make Haiti into a mini America. And so that is not our goal. We're not trying to spread the West, per se. We're trying to spread the kingdom of God. And I feel like that really transcends all borders. And so the culture that we're trying to change is not necessarily a Haitian culture into an American culture, but from a voodoo culture into a kingdom culture. And that requires people. Like I said, that requires laborers to go into the harvest field. And so we would love to have more and more people come down and join in the work and really grab onto the, what am I trying to say? The yoke of Jesus, put your neck into the yoke and start pulling the plow, more agriculture metaphors, and work in these fields that the Lord has called us to go into. And so, yes, please check out livebeyond.org, register for a mission trip, or support the work that's going on if you're not able to come join us yourself. And yes, sir, learn more about the work the Lord's given us to do. And honestly, while I'm incredibly biased to LiveBeyond, I think it's important that we as Christians, we all get involved in the work somewhere. So if it's not with LiveBeyond, find another Christian organization that is doing work all around the world. Go to India, go to Honduras, go next door, and just be involved in the work of Christ.
Awesome stuff, man. We appreciate you being with us. And as we go into 2019 here, celebrating another new year, but, even looking forward to what God's going to be doing in our lives and your lives with your folks and the people there of Haiti. We just really appreciate you guys doing what you're doing. A lot of us can't go. A lot of us won't go, but we are so thankful and believe the return on your investment there will be immense when we get to the other side. So thank you for your service to our fellow humans. We share this thing, we forget about, man, the West is so screwed up. That's a whole nother hour and a half podcast. I'm part of the problem. I'll just admit it. But the fact is, you guys have found a hurt and you're working in Jesus' name to fix that hurt and just so appreciate that. And we're praying for the best for you guys going into 2019.
Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. And thank you so much for your support and your prayers. And y'all keep up the great work as well. We're all working for the same kingdom.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, God bless you. The best to your folks, your bride, and your in-laws. And we'll chat with you again sometime soon.
Well, great. Thank you so much. God bless you too.
Yeah, thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Modern Christian Men podcast. You can find us online at modernchristianmen.com.